What's going on, guys? Krusty K's here from the Go Boys Network coming to you with the slate preview for Wednesday, June 12th. Before we hop into this, I want to remind everybody you can get all these odds at FanDuel Sportsbook, but let's not waste any time. Let's jump into this slate. First on the slate, Colorado Rockies taking on the Minnesota Twins. It's Austin Gomber versus Pablo Lopez. For me here, I just want to back Pablo Lopez. So give me the Twins here. Excuse me. Money line's obviously unplayable, so I'm going to go with the performance level of Pablo Lopez, likely 7 Ks in a win, 6 Ks in a win. Whatever it gets, close to even money, that's where we're going to be. I like Pablo here. Should see quite a few righties in this Colorado lineup. They have a couple lefties, but primarily a right-handed lineup, so should see at least 6, which would be more than enough for him to get his Ks. Obviously, Rockies, lead the league in chase rate. We all know that. Pablo Lopez, hasn't been necessarily the greatest as of late, but this feels like a good spot for him to navigate through a pretty poor lineup. Our next one is the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Chris Bassett versus Tobias Myers. I'm going to go with the Brewers team total here. I originally wanted to back Milwaukee, but Tobias Myers, I have a few concerns, so it's not somebody I'm looking to really put my money behind. But I do think the Brewers can get some runs off of Bassett. Bassett just hasn't been, the Bassett we're used to seeing, at least the Bassett we saw last year. Had a pretty good start against Oakland, but that was Oakland. Now you go into Milwaukee, you have to face a Brewers team that's, absolutely dominating. So I like the Brewers bats to get going here. I like them to put up some runs. And I think they win the game, but I'm just not going to go with that side here. The next one is the Houston Astros taking on San Francisco Giants. This is Framber Valdez versus Logan Webb. Giants are favored at home. It's Logan Webb. And for me, that's really all I needed to see. So I'm going to take the Giants on the money line here. I love backing Logan Webb, especially at home. He's just a different pitcher there. We've seen it his whole career. The splits, they don't lie. The ERA doesn't lie. Considerably lower, like a full 2 runs lower at home. League ground ball rate. Obviously, this Houston Astros team, pretty aggressive, but I like him to be able to obviously navigate the lineup, getting a lot of ground balls, really using that sinker to his advantage. In terms of Framber, his sinker has been getting absolutely tore up this season. This Giants team, they've got a few guys hitting. Overall, the lineup's not super consistent, but like Ramos or Chapman, I think they can absolutely light this guy up. So give me the Giants on the money line here. Next one is the Oakland Athletics taking on the San Diego Padres. This is Hogan Harris versus Michael King. I have a hard time laying minus 190 with Michael King just because he's been pretty inconsistent overall this season. And when I look at this game, as much as I think the Padres do win, I have a hard time getting there. So I'm going to isolate it. I'm going to go with the Padres team total. I think it's a great look. I think they soar over this number. Hogan Harris is a lefty who's kind of been thrust into this rotation because they don't have anyone. Everybody's hurt. So he really doesn't have stuff that, in my opinion, competes at the major league level. So I really think he struggles against this Padres team. Obviously the Padres, we've all seen it. We've talked about it a few times. Batting average, they're like top 5 in the league. WRC plus, they're around league average. They just don't generate runs. But this feels like a spot where there's going to be a lot of base traffic, a lot of consistent base traffic. And they got to go somewhere, right? So we're going to get some runs here. This next one, super interesting, a couple young guys. The Atlanta Braves take on the Baltimore Orioles. This is, before I butcher this name, Spencer Schwallenbeck versus Cade Pavich. So this game is super interesting to me because obviously both guys young, not a ton of data in the majors yet. I'm going to roll with Baltimore and Cade Pavich simply because their bats are hitting right now and the Braves continue to struggle. Ever since losing Acuna, this lineup has just been super inconsistent. It's kind of to be expected because you got to figure he is a bit of like the straw that stirs the drink, I guess if you want to say. But the way they've been lately, it's just I don't see how you can trust them. They lost 3 out of 4 of the Nationals. As I'm recording this, they're losing 3-0 right now in the 6th. And I can't trust them with their bats, not hitting. So give me Baltimore here. I think they pick up another win, truthfully. And this just feels like a spot where you kind of kick the Braves while they're down. Next one is the Washington Nationals taking on Detroit Tigers. This is Jake Irvin versus Reese Olson. Reese Olson was tagged pretty significantly in his last start by Milwaukee. I don't remember how many runs it was. 8, I think? He got absolutely torched. So I like him to bounce back here against Washington. Washington right around league average against righties over the last 2 weeks, so nothing like a big concern there. I'm going to see quite a few lefties too, and he is better to lefties, so I do like that. Definitely like that. For me here, though, I'm going to roll with the first 5 under. I like Jake Irvin a lot. This kid has really impressed me. He's had 2 pretty good starts against the Braves, which I think says a lot. I mean, obviously one was when they were scuffling, but the other one was, they were still hitting pretty well at the time. So I like the first 5 under. I think this thing stays low scoring. Reese Olson, I mean, he's been really good, but they never seem to get him any run support either. So that kind of feeds into this first 5 under. They think this one could easily be 0-0 here after 5.
Wait, before we get back to the picks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. Friends don't let friends watch videos without hitting the like button. So go ahead and press the thumbs up button and like the video. If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the Gold Boys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the Gold Boys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks.
Next one is the Chicago Cubs taking on Tampa Bay Rays. It's Javier Assad versus Aaron Savale. And I mean, I'm going to go with the Cubs here on the money line. I like the Cubs. They're plus money. I can't back Aaron Savale personally. If you watched him pitch this season, he hasn't looked good, hasn't pitched deep into games, really struggling to just, miss bats, honestly. A lot of balls in play. And this Cubs team, while they're not really, ripping the cover off the ball, they have some guys who, in my opinion, at any moment can definitely get it going. And I think some of these lefties, like Bellinger, even Ian Happ to an extent, can definitely do some damage in this spot. So I like the Cubs. I really like Javier Assad. That's really what sold me on this spot. Assad's just been so good. If you've been watching him, I know some people say, like, oh, his home road splits, consider who he's played against, consider the situation, look deeper than just the box score. Javier Assad has been outstanding this season. So I want to back him here against this Tampa Bay team who continues to struggle hitting. Over the last 2 weeks, WRC plus of just 55 versus right-handed pitching, which is absolutely abysmal. I believe it's dead last in the league, or if it's not, it's got to be right there. So give me the Cubs on the money line at plus money. Our next one is the Cleveland Guardians taking on Cincinnati Reds. It's Tanner Bybee versus Nick Lodolo, and I am all over the Guardians here. I'm a big Nick Lodolo guy, so believe me, it kills me to do this. But Tanner Bybee really impressed me this season. Really mixing his pitches well, really using his fastball well, and I think he absolutely annihilates this Reds lineup. You look at the numbers, you look at the Reds against breaking pitches, you look at the Reds once they get 2 strikes, and they are bad, bad, and bad. So I really like Bybee to pitch well here. Really like him to probably end up getting his strikeouts. And ultimately, I think, getting his club a win because I don't think he's going to get many runs. Lodolo, I think he pitches relatively well. This Cleveland team not as good against lefties as they are against righties. But Lodolo just hasn't looked the same, in my opinion, since coming back from injury. The velo has been a little inconsistent. And the breaking ball just hasn't seemed to have that bite that it had when he first came back. So, does he find it tomorrow? Maybe. But I'm going to go with what I've seen the last couple starts, and that's no. He's not going to find it. So give me the Guardians on the money line. The next one is the Miami Marlins taking on New York Mets. This is Braxton Garrett versus David Peterson. So for me in this one, I like the over. Total's 7.5, pretty low, obviously. Braxton Garrett is a guy who, he might get his Ks. He has those innings where he looks really good, but he's going to get tagged sooner or later in a game, and that's kind of why his leash is always so short. So I think he can get tagged, to an extent. And then Peterson on the other side, it's the same kind of thing. He'll have his little, stretches where he looks good, but the command's always a problem. He's going to put guys on. And this Miami team is hitting pretty well, actually, over the last 2 weeks. I believe WRC plus right around 110. So it's just a good spot for their bats to keep it going. They're going to see a lot of base traffic, a lot of guys, a lot of runners on. And I think, we see runs from both sides. 7.5 just feels too low for me with these 2 guys on the mound. Our next one is Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Boston Red Sox. This is Christopher Sanchez versus Nick Pivetta. So as we all know, Boston versus lefties has been a ultimate fade spot. It's no different for me here. I like Christopher Sanchez and the Phillies to get this win. Pivetta, he looked really good against the Tigers, kind of came back to reality a bit against the Braves. He pitched really well, so I'm not going to say he's lost whatever he found. Obviously an incredibly tough spot against the Phillies. I think he pitches well to an extent. Do think this one ultimately stays pretty low scoring, but I just like the Phillies to get the win. This Boston team is yet to prove they can hit a lefty, And I mean, Sanchez, while he's not like, top tier by any means, I mean, he's got some pretty good off-speed stuff. Changeup looks pretty good. And I just think it's a tough spot for Boston, truthfully, because like I said, for whatever reason, this team just cannot hit lefties. Our next one is the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. This is Bailey Falter versus Sonny Gray. The last time back, Sonny Gray, I believe the Cardinals lost because they couldn't score any runs with 50 runners stranded on base. So the Cardinals here, minus 170. Obviously, I'm not going to lay that, but I'm going to go with the Cardinals. Likely performance double. Sonny Gray, 6 strikeouts in the Cardinals money line. Should be close to even money, and that's where I'm going to go on this one. Pirates on the road, some of the worst metrics in all baseball in terms of Ks. K rate, home and away, it goes up I believe 6 or 7%. I mean, so quite a big increase when they go on the road. And I mean, I just like Sonny Gray. If you don't know by now, when he gets guys to 2 strikes, he ends those in a strikeout 58% of the time. It's the highest in the league by a wide margin. So really think that against this Pirates team, who's aggressively not aggressive, it's hard to explain. You look at their metrics and their swing rate is low. Then you look at the amount of 2-strike counts they see, and it's league average. So it's they're just a confusing team, truthfully. So I like Sonny Gray's Ks. I like the Cardinals to win ultimately. So like I said, give me 6 Ks in the Cardinals money line here. The next one is the New York Yankees taking on the Kansas City Royals. It's Cody Poteet, and right now the Royals have not named a starter. It's really not going to matter for me, though, because I'm going to roll with the Yankees. This team is just a team where I've tried to fade them a couple times and looked kind of foolish doing it, and I just don't see this being a spot where, you fade them. So I'm ultimately going to back them here. Not sure what the price is going to be at because we don't have a starter for the Royals, so there's no money line price out, but it will be on the money line. If it's too juiced, I think it's a great parlay piece. I just like their bats. With Soto back, I think it's just this team is too dangerous. You have to pitch Judge with Soto in the lineup. You can't pitch around him how you were. You're kind of able to avoid him when Soto wasn't there. And, I mean, this lineup, just top to bottom, is hitting and can do damage. And we've seen it time and time again. And they kind of have that clutch factor now, too, that they didn't have last season. We've seen it in quite a few games, whereas, before, in 7th, 8th, and 9th, if they were down, you kind of knew the game was over. Now, 7th, 8th, and 9th, you get Soto in one of those innings or you get Judge, and these guys are clutching up and doing some damage. So, give me the Yankees here. The next one is the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Jose Soriano versus Slade Cecconi. I am going to back the Angels here for definitely a rare occasion. Jose Soriano is a very, very tough pitcher to handicap because his command is, night and day. Take your pick. You don't know which one you're going to get before the game starts. So I am going to back the Angels. Obviously, I'm a little nervous about Soriano. This Diamondbacks team over the last month, 2 weeks, however you want to look at it, striking out a lot. 25.4% K rate versus righties. Nearly the disciplined team that we were seeing before. Chasing a lot more outside of the zone, which I think will help Soriano because he does struggle, within the strike zone at times. But I think in this particular spot, when you get a team that's as aggressive as Arizona is, you can kind of use that aggressiveness to your advantage where if he's missing outside the zone, he might get a few more swings and misses against a team like this as opposed to a patient team like the Yankees or something where they're not going to help you out, basically. This Diamondbacks team will help you out. So I like Soriano to pitch well. Ultimately, I like this team to get the win. Angels right around league average against righties. I mean, nothing special, but Slade Cecconi is not a guy who I'm looking to back, truthfully. And I think Soriano, when he's on, his stuff is borderline unhittable. So let's hope Soriano has his A game, and I think the Angels get this one for us. Hey guys, I just want to give a quick reminder that new users can bet $5 at FanDuel on any of the bets in this video and win $150 in bonus bets if the bet wins. Now let's get back to the bets. Next one is the Chicago White Sox taking on the Seattle Mariners. This is Jonathan Cannon versus Bryce Miller. Seattle minus 1.5. Next. Jonathan Cannon, he's looked pretty decent, I'm going to say. We'll say decent. I was going to say good, but it really hasn't been good. It's been decent. He's been a few starts for the White Sox in the majors. Been kind of back and forth. They brought him back up again for another spot start here. Seattle is a really tricky team for me because, as we talked about some of the other teams, the inconsistency is real. You look at their lineup and you would think that they mash, and they have the capability to mash for sure. But we saw the game against the White Sox with Logan Gilbert. Eric Fetty shut them down for 7 innings. And then they had, in the last 3 innings when they went in extras, 8, 9, and 10, they scored 8 runs. So the White Sox bullpen just cannot be trusted here. Even if Cannon pitches like relatively well, it's not going to matter once they turn it over to the pen. This White Sox bullpen is the worst bullpen in all of baseball by far. It's not close. It's not even close. And I think regardless of what Cannon does, the Seattle team wins this game by 2+ runs with relative ease. The last one on this slate is the Texas Rangers taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm a little unsure about these starters, truthfully. It's John Gray versus Walker Buehler, but John Gray just pitched in relief Monday, so I have a really hard time believing he's going to get a start here. Bochy has done some weird stuff before. I just don't know that this is exactly what he was planning on, so we'll have to wait and see with that. Regardless, though, if it's John Gray, I want to back the Rangers. If it's not John Gray, I'm just going to probably stay away from the game. Walker Buehler is a candidate, in my opinion, to get absolutely tagged. He's been tagged numerous times in pretty much every start he's had this season. Stuff hasn't looked good, which means it's to be expected. He hasn't pitched in 2 years. Again, Texas not hitting a ton, so it's hard to trust them. But with the way this guy's been getting tagged, the way his fastball's been getting hit, I feel like this could be the spot where the bats finally wake up. So I like the Rangers here. I lean to their money line. Like I said, if John Gray goes. If he doesn't, I may opt for the Rangers team total or just stay away altogether. And that does conclude the slate, though. If you guys do me a favor, drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys are playing. I know I've been a little inconsistent here. I had some technical difficulties yesterday trying to get this video uploaded. It wouldn't upload for some reason, so I had to scrap it. But hopefully this one uploads. My top 3 plays, though, for this slate, we are going to roll with the Giants on the money line, the Guardians on the money line, and the Pablo Lopez 7 Ks and the Minnesota Twins money line. So those are my 3 best bets for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, you can get all my official plays at goldboys.com. If you have a gambling problem, dial 1-800-GAMBLER. Thank you, guys.